You're standing in your backyard, garden hose in hand, staring at a scene straight out of a sitcom gone wrong. There she is, Margaret, the neighborhood tyrant, storming in like she owns the place. She's decked out in a fluffy yellow bathrobe, clutching a rubber duck flow tie and a bottle of SPF 50, her voice booming, "This pool is for everyone." I'm frozen, jaw dropped, watching her drag her grandkids, a portable speaker blasting beach tunes, and a giant sunshade into my yard. My pool, the one I'd spent months saving for, dreaming about, planning every detail, was suddenly her battlefield. She didn't just stroll in. She marched like a general claiming a conquered land. And that, folks, was a moment I knew I'd stumbled into the wildest neighborhood war this little town had ever seen. Let's rewind a bit, though, to how this all started. Before the chaos, before the Jell-O. Oh yeah, we'll get there. Back when life was simpler. 2 years ago, I moved into this quiet suburban slice of heaven called Maple Grove. Picture it. Tidy lawns, friendly dog walkers, retirees sipping coffee on porches. A real postcard of peace. I'd been hunting for a place to settle down, and this seemed perfect. Young families mingled with gray-haired folks who'd seen it all. It was like stepping into a feel-good movie. That is, until I met Margaret. She lived across the street in a blindingly white house, the kind that screams, "I'm better than you." Her front yard was dotted with tacky plastic ducks. She had a thing for waterfowl, apparently, and a sign on her porch chirped, "Sunshine and smiles." Irony doesn't even begin to cover it, because Margaret was a walking storm cloud. At first, she wasn't unbearable, just nosy. She'd pop over with questions like, "Why'd you pick that shade of blue for your mailbox?" Or, "Your gardener's here an awful lot, isn't he?" I'd smile, nod, and keep my distance. No big deal, right? Wrong. Everything changed when she got herself elected head of the Homeowners Association. Suddenly, Margaret wasn't just a busybody. She was a dictator with a clipboard. Power went straight to her head, and she started acting like she owned Maple Grove. Every blade of grass, every driveway. It began with small stuff. Notes on doors scolding folks for leaving trash bins out 5 minutes too long. Lectures to teens about reckless biking. Even a $50 fine for old Mr. Jenkins because his shutters were too maroon. Most of us rolled our eyes and stayed out of her crosshairs. I managed to fly under her radar, keeping my head down, living my quiet life. That is, until the pool. See, I've been working overtime for months, squirreling away every dime to build my dream. A backyard pool. Not just any pool. Mind you, this was my masterpiece. Custom built, with soft LED lights that glowed at night, a little waterfall feature that trickled like a spa. The works. It took weeks of construction, with workers hammering and drilling while I grinned like a kid on Christmas. When it was done, I stood there, staring at the shimmering oasis, feeling like I'd won the lottery. My own slice of summer, right behind my house. I invited a few buddies and my sister's family over for the first swim, a perfect Saturday of burgers sizzling on the grill, kids cannonballing into the water, and music humming low. It was bliss. Little did I know, Margaret was watching from her upstairs window, binoculars pressed to her face, plotting her next move. That's when the trouble brewed. I didn't see it coming. Not yet. The pool was my pride, my reward after years of hard work, and I figured it'd stay that way. But Margaret, she had other plans. She wasn't about to let me enjoy my little paradise in peace. Oh no, she was gearing up to turn my backyard into her personal kingdom. And trust me, it only got crazier from there. Stick around, because this story's about to dive headfirst into the deep end. So there I was, basking in the glow of my new pool, thinking life couldn't get any sweeter. The next morning, though, reality slapped me awake. Taped to my front door was a typed letter, crisp and official looking, like it had been spit out of a lawyer's printer. "Dear neighbor," it read, "per Section 14 of the HOA Community Sharing Guidelines, any recreational installation visible from the street is deemed communal property." I blinked, reread it, then burst out laughing. Section 14? I'd pored over the HOA bylaws when I moved in. There was no Section 14. This had to be a prank. But then I saw the signature. Margaret Ellis, HOA President. Nope, not a joke. She was dead serious. Before I could even process it, my inbox pinged. Margaret had emailed the entire neighborhood, 65 households, announcing community pool hours for what she called our shared aquatic resource. My pool. My pool. I stood there, coffee going cold in my hand, wondering how someone could have the gall to claim something I had built with my own money on my own land. It was absurd, outrageous, and honestly a little impressive in its sheer nerve. But laughing it off wasn't an option anymore. Not when she doubled down. The first real showdown came at the next HOA meeting. Picture this. The community center packed with over 60 neighbors, folding chairs creaking, tension thick enough to cut with a butter knife. Margaret strutted in, smug as ever, and launched into her pitch. This pool excludes our community, she said, voice dripping with fake concern. It's selfish to hoard such a resource. I stood up, calm at first, laying out the facts. Private property, legally built, fully funded by me. She smirked, and cooed, "That's not very neighborly, is it?" Her posse, about 20 gray-haired cronies she'd won over with cookies and gossip, nodded like bobbleheads. The rest of the room, a mix of awkward silence and stifled snickers. Then Mr. Russo, a grizzled ex-cop with a pack of yappy terriers, bellowed, "This is America, Margaret. We don't share pools here." I could have hugged him, but she ignored it, called a vote to reconsider community access. It failed barely. Too close for comfort. That night, the retaliation started. I woke up to pool floaties, a duck, a pizza slice, a noodle with share or bust scrawled on it, strewn across my yard. Petty, sure, but it was a warning shot. A week later, I caught Margaret's grandkids splashing in my pool like it was their personal playground. I stormed out, demanding answers. "Grandma says it's everyone's now," one of them chirped, while Margaret sipped lemonade nearby, pretending not to hear. I told her to leave. She called me selfish. Voices rose. Neighbors peeked out. Phones came out. It was a circus. "This pool belongs to community," she shrieked, and that line stuck in my head like a bad song. She didn't stop there. Margaret launched a full-on campaign. My buddy Sarah, a mom with a knack for wine memes, tipped me off. Margaret was knocking on doors, muffins in hand, collecting signatures for a new vote. She wanted to rewrite the HOA rules to force my pool open to all. At first, I laughed, until strangers started showing up with beach towels, ringing my doorbell, asking when community swim time started. Kids I'd never met waved sunscreen bottles. Adults demanded spare towels. I put a lock on the gate. She called it a barrier of exclusion. I installed cameras. She accused me of spying on swimmers. It was relentless. The breaking point hit at the next HOA meeting. The clubhouse was stuffed. 50-plus residents. Standing room only. Margaret swept in like a rock star, flanked by her muffin mafia, clutching a binder labeled the People's Pool. She demanded a vote, voice ringing out, "We deserve this pool." I stood, heart pounding, facing a room split between anger, amusement, and exhaustion. I tried logic. Private land, my money, no rules broken, but Margaret wasn't playing fair. She was a steamroller, and I was roadkill. Her motion almost passed until Sarah pointed out fake signatures on her petition. People who'd moved away years ago. Chaos erupted. Shouting, a spilled coffee urn, Margaret storming out when a vote was voided. I thought I'd won. I was wrong. That night, flyers hit every mailbox. The fight isn't over. True community won't be silenced. A blurry photo of me watering my lawn was captioned, "Greed at work." Margaret was coming back harder, and I was done playing nice. She wanted a war? Fine. I'd give her one she'd never forget. A spectacle so wild, it'd bury her smug little crusade. How? Let's just say it involved a whole lot of Jell-O, and a neighborhood ready to fight back. Hang tight. This is where it gets good. By now, you're probably wondering how I went from a guy with a pool to a man plotting revenge with gelatin. Well, after Margaret's latest stunt, the flyers, the lies, the non-stop doorbell brigade, I was at my wit's end. I sat in my backyard, staring at that calm, blue water, The pool I'd built to escape stress, now a magnet for it. She wasn't slowing down. She was regrouping, scheming something bigger. If I didn't act, she'd twist a whole neighborhood into believing her nonsense. Logic wasn't working. Rules weren't stopping her. So I decided to fight fire with something crazier. Jell-O. It started as a half-baked joke. I'd seen a prank video once. Some guy filling a hot tub with cherry Jell-O, the stuff wobbling under the sun like an edible blob. I chuckled, picturing Margaret's face as she saw my pool turn into a giant dessert tray. Then it hit me, why not? If she wanted a community attraction, I'd give her one, a ridiculous, over-the-top mess she couldn't spin into her favor. It'd be so absurd, so humiliating, she'd have to back off. But I couldn't pull it off alone. I needed a crew. First recruit, Sarah, the mom who called out Margaret's fake signatures. She was livid about the chaos and jumped in without a second thought. Next was Lisa, a sarcastic gal who clashed with Margaret over her ugly garden gnomes. She was all in. Then came Mike, a quiet construction guy who offered to bring a tarp to protect the pool's tiles. Even Mr. Russo, the ex-cop of the Terriers, signed up, growling about taking down the enemy. Word spread quietly among the fed-up folks who'd stayed silent too long. We formed a secret chat group, Operation Jell-O Jihad. Yeah, we went there. The plan? Fill my pool with 10,000 cups of Jell-O, cherry, grape, lime, a rainbow of wobbly defiance, right before Margaret's big neighborhood unity swim day. She'd been hyping it up, printing flyers, even inviting the local news to film her victory. Perfect timing. Sarah crunched the numbers. How much gelatin, how long to set what containers. Lisa handled supplies, bulk orders of Jell-O packets, food coloring, plastic cups. Kids from down the street, twins Jake and Mia, turned their basement into a Jell-O factory. We worked in the shadows, stashing boxes behind fences, meeting at night like some underground resistance. It was insane how fast it grew. Neighbors who'd barely waved before were suddenly elbow deep in boiling water. Debating cherry versus grape, cherry won, but grape fans fought hard. Mr. Russo's garage became our HQ, stacks of cups chilling in fridges, and coolers across Maple Grove. By week's end, we had 10,000 cups ready, enough to turn my pool into a shimmering, jiggly sea. Margaret didn't suspect a thing. Her spies were everywhere, but we were ninjas, whispering plans over walkie-talkies, moving under moonlight. The night before her event, we struck. 30 of us, dressed in black, hauled coolers to my yard like a covert ops team. Mike laid the tarp, insurance against stains, while we formed an assembly line, pouring cup after cup into pool. Red, purple, green. The colors danced under the stars. At one point, Margaret's kitchen light flicked on. We froze, holding our breath, but it went dark and we kept going. By 3 a.m., it was done, a masterpiece of gelatin, glowing in the dawn light. We scattered, exhausted but buzzing, grinning like kids who pulled off the prank of the century. Morning came, and I watched from my window, coffee in hand, as Margaret's guests trickled in. Swim trunks, towels, clueless smiles. She arrived last, strutting in a yellow sun hat and flip-flops, ready to claim her prize. She flung open my gate, stepped inside, and bam! Her jaw hit the ground. That pristine pool she coveted, now a wobbling candy-colored swamp. Her gasp was half-scream, half-choke, like a goose getting whacked. The kids behind her squealed, diving for the cups, while the adults gawked. Margaret's big day was here, and was about to go down in flames. Or, well, Jell-O. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happened next. All right, picture this. Margaret standing there, yellow hat tilted, mouth gaping like a fish out of water, staring at my pool, now a glorious, wobbling sea of 10,000 Jell-O cups. The kids behind her didn't care about her shock. They were already grabbing pool nets, scooping up cherry blobs, laughing like it was Christmas. The adults, some chuckled, some whipped out phones, a few just blinked, trying to process the madness. Margaret's Unity swim day had kicked off, and it was a disaster of her own making. I stepped onto my patio, coffee mug in hand, robe on, sunglasses perched, cool as a cucumber. Her eyes locked on me, and if looks could kill, I'd be 6 feet under. What have you done? She hissed, voice shaking with rage. I took a slow sip, savoring the moment, just adding some community spirit. I said, smirking. Her face went from tomato red to ghostly white, a cartoon villain about to pop. The crowd was waking up now, laughter rippling, cameras clicking, a few claps breaking out. Margaret stomped forward, heels clacking, screeching, "You sabotaged my event. You humiliated me." I shrugged. "You said it's community property. I made it festive." She flailed her arms, spinning to her audience. This is vandalism, destruction of a shared resource. But nobody bought it. Even her muffin minions hung back, unsure. Then the universe delivered the cherry on top, literally. In her fury, Margaret lunged toward me, slipped on a wet patch, and went down. Slow motion, arms windmilling, hat flying, then splat, face first into a pile of red Jell-O. Cups exploded, gelatin sprayed like fruity fireworks. The kids lost it, howling with laughter. Someone gasped, "Oh my God!" Margaret popped up, drenched, cherry goo dripping from her hatless head, makeup streaking, looking like a slime swamp monster. She screamed, a primal, ear-splitting wail, while phones captured every second. She scrambled out, slipped again, landed on her side with a groan. Dignity officially DOA. I tossed her a towel. She swatted away, snarling, "You'll regret this. This isn't over." But the tide had turned. The crowd was mine now, laughing, filming, one guy muttering, "Best HOA meeting ever." Then sirens wailed. Margaret had called the cops. Or someone had. 2 officers rolled up, stepping out to a scene of pure chaos. A goo-covered woman ranting, kids splashing, me sipping coffee like it was just another Sunday. "What's going on here?" one asked, eyebrow raised. Margaret unleashed a tirade, vandalism, endangerment, HOA violations, gesticulating wildly. The cops nodded, then turned to me. I kept it simple. My property, no harm done, Jell-O's edible, pools tarped. "So it's just Jell-O?" one cop asked, stifling a grin. "About 10,000 cups," I said. He coughed a laugh. "Impressive." They asked if she had permission to be here. "Nope," I said. Margaret sputtered, "But they shut it down. No laws broken, just a civil mess." "Leave peacefully," they told her, warning her off my land. She stormed off, trailing red drips, her posse slinking away. By noon, the internet exploded. Videos of her Jell-O dive hit social media. The local paper ran, "Pool war ends in sweet revenge." Memes popped up, "When you steal a pool and get slimed," and Margaret became a town joke. The HOA, mortified, suspended her leadership, rewrote the rules to lock down private property rights, and shredded her petition. She went quiet, blinds shut, house dark. Rumors said she moved to her brothers in a stricter HOA town. Poetic justice. I cleaned the pool that weekend, neighbors pitching in, laughing over the great Jell-O caper. Peace settled in. Kids dubbed me Jell-O boss. Mr. Russo saluted me. Margaret's reign was toast, and Maple Grove felt lighter, like we'd all exhaled. But the real payoff? That's coming up next, when the dust settled and the neighborhood found its groove again. After the Jell-O madness, Maple Grove didn't just snap back to normal. It became something better. My pool, once a war zone, turned into a badge of triumph. Neighbors passing by grinned knowingly. Kids peeked through the fence, hoping for one last Jell-O sighting. Someone even painted a mural on the community board. Margaret mid-flop into red goo, captioned, "Long live the wobble." It was our inside joke now, a story we'd retell at every barbecue. Margaret? She vanished from sight. Her house went dark, blinds drawn, no more duck decorations or sanctimonious flyers. Then one day, a moving truck rolled up. She was gone, no goodbye, no tantrum, just a quiet exit. The new owner, a chill art teacher named Clara, planted daisies and waved at everyone. Night and day, right? What blew me away wasn't just Margaret's retreat, but how the neighborhood flipped. People who backed her, silently or with muffins, came by with sheepish grins, apologies, even offers to help with pool upkeep. I got thank you notes from folks I barely knew, grateful I'd stood up to the madness. The HOA reshaped fast. Sarah took over as president, Lisa grabbed treasurer. Mr. Russo became security chief. They dubbed themselves the Sanity Squad and wrote new rules. The pool is not community property. No more vague clauses, no more power grabs, just clear boundaries and common sense. Funny thing, without Margaret's shadow, people got nicer. We threw a block party a week later. Kids with water guns, a karaoke machine belting out bad tunes, Lisa passing out Jell-O cups for laughs. It was real neighbor stuff, not forced unity nonsense. The Jell-O tale wouldn't die, though. A blogger wrote, Suburbia versus Margaret, a wobbly win. Then a radio station called me Jell-O Justice. I dodged the spotlight at first, but did one interview to set the record straight. Next thing I knew, it went national, Late Night Jokes, a parody song. I'd gone from pool guy to accidental hero overnight. I started hosting pool days, not because I had to, but because I wanted to. Folks brought chips, shared stories, respected the space. It was what Maple Grove should have been all along. One night, locking the gate, I saw a figure in the shadows, same robe silhouette as Margaret. My heart skipped, but it was Clara, the new neighbor, grinning with a chill vibes only tote. She'd heard the saga, laughed about putting traps, and asked to bring cookies next time. Relief washed over me. No more tyrants here. Sitting by my quiet pool that night, I smiled. The chaos, Margaret's rants, the meetings, the Jell-O was history. The neighborhood was ours again, bonded by respect and a wild shared memory. Kids still whisper about the Jell-O pool like it was folklore. Adults use it as a shorthand for handling busybodies. If another Margaret ever showed up, we'd be ready. Maybe with pudding, maybe whipped cream. But definitely together. That's the legacy of 10,000 Jell-O cups. A street-turned story, a victory worth savoring.